Good evening, everyone, and welcome to In the Know with CaT Bobino. Today, my extra special guest is Doc T. She does biosurveillance, or used to do biosurveillance, and now she is the owner and founder of Outsource Program. I didn't say that right. Outsource Research Program. So everyone, I want you to welcome Doc T. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you doing tonight?
I am doing well. I am elated to finally have the chance to interact with you on this podcast finally. So I am ready and open to what is to come.
Awesome. So I know we had a short chat before we went live, which was you used to do biosurveillance until a week ago. So we're going to start there. What is biosurveillance?
So a biosurveillance scientist is a scientist who cover all aspects of countering weapons of mass destruction, anything that can inhibit or cause harm to us in any faction, COVID-19, weaponry, mass weaponry, which is fire, diseases such as yellow fever, malaria. So part of my position was to, on the daily basis, monitor any countering weapon of mass destruction that inhibit several areas of the United States
Wow.
in different aspects. And my primary job was to create area maps. I did RGIS for
Mhm.
that position where I created topography maps. So to put that in layman terms for someone who don't understand what GIS or geographic information sciences are, the best way I put it to my students is if you was to look at your Google map and you open your map and you put in a search, that
Mhm.
picture that you see or that image is an example of what we have, and what we call is to manipulate the data. We take additional data. So if you have a house and the house move, my job is to remove the house or add the house. So more and so forth. But mostly for what I did with, especially with us, can't go too deep because of appearances. So
Right.
I don't want to violate anything, but primarily we were definitely monitoring COVID and locations and etc. Related to what's happening now in real time.
So the maps that we see kind of with the red dot that spreads, and this is kind of what's happening. We're getting these infectious areas, are the type of maps you're making, but they're more topography than
Yes. So
spread.
I completed timeline transition maps to show the rate of people passing within the 24-hour period as it transitioned, or the growth or the decrease. So those were primary tasks that I did on a day-to-day basis. So being a biosurveillance scientist, you definitely have to have three key components. You definitely have to have research background. You definitely have to have an eye of the unknown or possibility of if this can transition, if it can spread, how fast it can spread. And then three, you definitely have to have a teamwork mindset because you're working with so many people whom are working different areas. And at any point, what you're working on may cross, or the disease or the destruction that you're monitoring may transition into someone's AOR area.
Of
I just
research.
did blank.
No, not
Yes.
research.
You
Right.
got me. Thank you.
No, it's all good. Of course, I got your back, girl. Yes, that's amazing. Though one of the biggest things I talk about with STEM is the different jobs and the different backgrounds that we have, and what you can take your education and go so far. And you are the very first person I've had on this show out of like 100 people I've talked to. doing this type of work, which further lets me know that STEM is where it's at, because there's all kinds of jobs out there.
Yes. And believe it or not, one job transitions into another when it comes to STEM. My primary job was to do geospatial sciences, which is GIS, which women are lack thereof and
Hmm.
in. We're very much so needed, as well as minorities. No shade, but we're very lacked in certain areas. So when I became a biosurveillance scientist, that has honestly been a dream job of mine for years. When I first heard about it, I was extremely intrigued when I was undergrad at and getting my master's at Southern University. And we took a class from someone at Homeland Security, and I was just overwhelmed because it was something new. I had never heard of it, and it was like a secret society. It took you for, so many
Hmm.
things to be qualified to get in it. So when I actually had the moment of actually being able to apply myself in a position after gaining the knowledge and content, to be able to be supplyable to that position, it was an overwhelming feeling my first week, because I was real live a kid in the candy store, because it was so
Right.
much. It was like, oh my god, we do this. Oh my god, what is that? Like, I'm responsible for that. And but
Right.
then the grown up in you kick in, and it's just like, okay, your hands literally hold the key to so many people being safe. And that
Hmm.
is definitely a position where you got to be strong, you got to be focused, but you have to definitely work for it. And it's not hard to get. And for years I thought it was, but if I was to talk to my students now, I would tell them, you really got to pay attention in science. You really got to make sure that you are aware of surroundings, and you really just got to have a drive in
Hmm.
you to be consistent. Be consistent.
Oh yeah. Getting in that GIS now. Correct me if I'm wrong. GIS or geospatial, all that stuff. I mean, I've taken one class, one.
Okay.
But that falls under geology, right? Or is
Yes.
that under a different? Okay, okay.
So it's
So
it's,
that
it's
falls.
actually, I got you. It's
Mhm.
interdisciplinary. Um, in some schools, it's under geography, primarily because you're doing mapping and topography. But in a lot of schools,
Mhm.
like where I went to school at Southern in Baton Rouge, we actually had it in urban forestry and natural resources. So it
Hmm.
honestly depends on where you go. Even when I went to get certificates, like at Penn State and other places, it honestly depends on the school and how they're offering it, because it's interdisciplinary, which means it holds so many different areas that you can do in GIS. Some people do Python, people actually do coding in GIS, some people just stick to mapping. So I mean, it's a ball of fun, and it's a world if you just want to go full throttle.
Right. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot that you can do with it. I took the class just as what do you call that? It didn't fall under my major, but it just sounded interesting, so I took the class.
Yes.
And the mapping is it's some work. It's some work
It's
to do the mapping, but it's pretty fun.
definitely it's fun. It's adventurous. That's the best word I use when I say working with people. Be like, what is it? What do you do? Like, what you get out of it? It's adventurous because, one, depending on where your job is and who you're working for, there's no telling what may come across your desk, right? So I've been in
Mhm.
positions where I've done spatial analysis on maps in a whole nother country, for different reasons, right?
Right.
I've done spatial maps related to the presidency, things like that.
Hmm.
So it's all about who you work for, what they want you to do, and how much you're applying when you're honestly being a geospatial analyst.
Okay. Well, that yeah, I think I did a map on bird migration when I took the class.
Ooh, that's
Yeah, I
dope.
think I did one on bird migration. But it was cool. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, this is interesting, and it, like you said, it opens the door on so many different things. Like mine was birds, but you've worked on presidencies and COVID, and all kinds of stuff that I'm sure we can't even talk about right now, which is
No, I can't.
amazing.
They listening.
Right, exactly. And I saw this backpack. It's this group called CoT or something like that. I googled it to show my partner so he can see it. I was like, oh, this is a cool little backpack. And of course, now it's on my Instagram commercials. It's in my Facebook commercials, and I be like, y'all play too much. Y'all, I know y'all listen and all
Yeah.
that algorithms, but y'all playing too much.
And then
Right.
once we finish, ad's gonna pop up on both of our.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, it never fails.
It
So
never fails.
it never fails. So I want to thank anyone and everyone who's watching and joining us live. If you have any questions or comments, just put them in the chat. They do pop up on our screen, so we do see them. So again, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, just let us know and put them in the chat. But we're back with Doc T, who is now has transitioned from her job at Biosurveillance to owner of S.O.U.R.C.E Outreach Program. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes. Um, Transitioning into S.O.U.R.C E Outreach Program is a mobile STEM based program where we have 5 areas of subjects: STEM, STEM for preschoolers, STEM for disabled youth
Mm,
entrepreneurship workshops, professional and career workshops for 16 plus, which includes students or persons who are trying to obtain a GED, or life happened, I fell, and I need to get picked back up. And last but not least, urban and school gardening program, where we work with schools to promote better health, and we go out and we teach them, one, the foundation of building an urban garden at their school, teaching the students and the teachers how to maintain the garden, obtaining grants to get funding for the garden, and then one, transitioning those gardening into community services where they're not only funding the school with the food to school program initiative, but as well as promoting just better health in the organizations. We do service, excuse me, the DMV area because we're based in Virginia. But with us being mobile, I've been asked, do I go to Philly? Would I come to Philly? And some other places. Um,
it's
Sorry.
okay. No, no. I'm surprised you don't hear mine crying in the background. I'm like, I get it.
So we do those things, and with the preschoolers, we try to promote for my son, 2 years of age to 6 years of age, because my primary focus with Source is to give back from things that I've learned. I've had a lot of opportunities over the years to be able to participate in a lot of programs such as the NASA. I was a NASA teacher scholar, and I got
Mhm.
NASA, sorry, teacher scholar, and I got to do that. And I've worked in education, but I was seeing a lack thereof when it came to science and STEM. And like you indicated earlier, we have a mental status where we feel like you just see the baseline. When you ask a kid what they want to do, it's the primary, oh, I'm gonna be a doctor, or I'm gonna be a
Right,
teacher, or I'm gonna
right.
be an engineer. And when you try to get in depth with them and you say, okay, what other engineer would you like to be? What kind of engineer would you like to be? Oh, the kind that just do the tools. We don't know the terminology. We don't
Right.
teach them the vocabulary, and we don't groom them. And I feel like it's a gap. They don't get it when they're younger because they're too bad or they don't sit still. But
Mhm.
that's the primary time where you're grooming them to focus them to teach them primary maths and science. And then two, with the disabled youth program, they're slighted because there are not programs available for them to give them those hands-on benefits. And that's some of the things I do. I use buzzers, I use beepers, I let them use iPads and pads so they can be familiar too, because at some point they're also eligible to have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also I grew up as a 504 kid, right? I was a triple threat, and a lot of people that know me on a personal level know that. But I always tell people I'm a quad threat. I'm a female, I'm educated, I'm a minority, and I'm disabled. So when people meet me and they be like, "Oh, you disabled? What does that look like?" This is what this look like. So
Mm.
I want kids to know that, okay, you're not hindered because you're handicapped. There were days I couldn't get up. There were days I couldn't move and was unmobilized, right? But at the same time, my mom was a pit bull, and she made sure I still got to do and I say that in good. I say
Oh,
that in
I
good.
know you do.
Your
I
heart,
know
like
you
my
do.
mom was a pure advocate for me, because when I was diagnosed, I was removed from school. And then
Mm.
when I came back to school, I ended up coming back with the highest average in science and making National Honor Society because my mom was a no-go. And
Mm.
I meet a lot of parents through the program, through S.O.U.R.C.E, and they like, oh my God, like my child has this, or she got ADD or this. And I'm just like, listen, it's protocol. You know what's going on. What can she do? What can they do? So that's primarily where we are with S.O.U.R.C.E. We mobile. We'll come to you. We don't discriminate against anyone. We travel out of state. And we just want kids to have fun. Learning should be fun. It shouldn't be a hostage situation.
Right, man. You done gave me so much. Like,
Sorry.
no, no, in such a good way that I mean, I'm sitting here in awe of the things that you are doing with your program and the people that you are touching with your program, because a lot of the things that you said are not taught, and these are people who are not touched, and so it's overlooked, and you're over here thinking of them, putting it out there. Like, it's amazing. It's so much. I'm trying to
Thank you.
digest. Yes, I'm trying to
Thank you.
digest, and like I don't even know what to ask next. Like, I'm so stuck. But I'll say this. I'll start here. Number one, you have a black son, I have a black son. And I don't know about your area where you're at, but where I am in California, in the Bay Area, black boys seem to be overlooked when it comes for programs of STEM. I see a lot of black girls code, or black girls this, or this program is
Mhm.
for girls only, which I'm not hating on in any form or fashion. Like, they deserve it too, but I don't think it didn't dawn on me until I had a son that there's no program. Well, not none, but there's fewer programs, especially targeted to people of color and boys.
So let me tell you something. So true fact. People ask me this. The past few weeks I've been getting this a lot. And I'ma just say it. Like it is what it is. Anybody know me know I'm upfront and raw,
Yeah.
about everything. And true fact, one of the reasons I left education is not just the slight. When I was in education, a lot of the young men, I worked in Southeast DC, right? And a lot of the young men in that area that I worked with, middle schoolers, were not to go too in depth, but they were having situations, probation officers, all kind of things, right?
Hmm.
And for people who don't understand that faction, that's the normalcy for us, right? So I used to get in trouble. Oh, I just told somebody this ironically. I used to get in trouble all the time because I'm against the grain,
Hmm.
right? I'm always the advocate, die hard. And one of the things I did with the gardening program, which is one of the reasons I transitioned to do my own thing, was because instead of you suspending them or calling their probation officer, or whenever if they breathe too hard, they in
Right.
ISS. If they doing this, you putting them out. Like you're not helping them, you're hindering them because you're putting
Right.
them back in the same situation they was in. So I will often get in trouble because I was the savior. So what I did was, I got y'all. Don't suspend them. Give them to me. We're gonna put them in the garden. And
Mm.
for media reasons of release, I can't show the picture, but I have a picture where it's me and the young men, and it got to the point where they wouldn't even care about getting in trouble because I could leave them outside, knowing that they weren't gonna run off the campus, knowing they weren't gonna run off the base because they was eager to learn. They started wanting to teach the pre-K students that we had. And I just told someone this. You got to put them in situations where when they know better, they do better. When they see
Right.
better, they want to learn better. And if you study putting them in a habitat where they're going to fail, you're not giving them the opportunity to do different, you're going to end up with horrible results,
Right.
right? So I challenge the principal, give them to me. If they mess up, I take all faults. But if they don't mess up, you owe me, right? And when we start being progressive with that garden, that was one of the things in my mind that really made me, like you said, you got a son, I got a son. Like, some got to shake. Who gonna teach my son these things when I
Right.
start transitioning? Because these, no shade, but some of these teachers ain't what we had, right?
No.
It's not proactiveness. You got a lot of people that's just like they there. Then COVID happened. They stressed out. I was a teacher during COVID, and that was like one of the most stressful things I did. And it was like, what you giving them?
Mm-hmm.
So in all honesty, I think programs like that will help our boys. And that's why I'm trying to do what I do, because of the discrimination against the handicap, against the babies, is what
Mm-hmm.
we consider the babies. When I first heard of a kindergarten failing, a pre-K student failing. Yeah, in DC, you don't pass certain requirements. I don't know if this nationally, I don't know, but I've seen pre-K and kindergarten students get held back, and that bothered me,
Right.
right? Because it's like, I know you're doing your job as a teacher. Maybe the parent don't have the skills they need to teach the kids what they need. I taught at a GED school, ran one in the afternoon, right,
Mm.
as an instructional manager. I'm teaching the same parents of the kids I teach in the daytime.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So when I got that mindset, I had to check a lot of teachers like, yo, your kid living lovely. These kids don't know. I know for a fact because I'm with their mama and daddy in the evening time
Right.
from 6 to 11 o'clock at nighttime, preparing them and got to go to school and teach their same kids. So if their mama don't know math or STEM, how she gonna know math or STEM?
Right.
So that's where the approach came from S.O.U.R.C.E. Who gonna give them that?
It's not, I mean, there's not a lot of programs. Like you said, there's so many people that are overlooked when it comes to STEM. And of course, when we had Obama as president, STEM was big. Money was
Mm-hmm.
given to it. We're going to do it. We're going to bring it together. Then we have the other guy come in and just, mess it all up. You know what I
Invert.
mean? Yeah, he just blew it up, just messed it up. And now, now with a pandemic and everything else, there's a lot of people who are left behind when it comes to STEM. And I mean, that's part of the reason I do this podcast is, for one, I get to meet all these interesting people doing a plethora of jobs in STEM that I've never heard of, and was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Number two, though, I get to share this expertise with the next generation. And then, I get text messages and phone calls like, hey, I have a student who's interested in this. Do you know someone who do it? And there's a good chance I do, because I've met them and I've done this podcast. And if I don't, I just put like a little blurb out on social media, like, anybody doing this. And
Mm.
9 times out of 10, I get that connection. And for me, that's what it is. Like you said earlier, I had someone ask me about a young man who was interested in engineering. And I was like, cool. they in high school. I said, well, there's Nesby Jr. Start there, but also you need what kind of engineering? What do you want to do in engineering? You gotta be more specific if you're going
Yeah,
to tell me what you're looking for. Engineering ain't just one thing. That's a whole
a
that's a
whole
whole genre.
system. That's
Yeah.
a that's what I'm saying. So like verbiage is so I learned that, coming out that verbiage and vocabulary is terminology is important, right? We
Mm-hmm.
give them dreams, but we don't give them background. One of the things I did one time at I had a workshop with some kids and we was just chit chatting, we sitting there and we talking. And one of the things I did was I gave them a note card and it
Mm.
was blank on one side and on the other side had like a whole bunch of salaries on it. It didn't have the name of the job. It just had like salaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them to was gonna count to 3 and we just flipped the cards over, right? And on the count of 3, we flipped the cards over and they was like, what is this? They was like, Doc, right? What is this? What? These numbers. And I said, what's in the front? And they was like, these dollar signs. I said, okay. I just told them, just start hollering out the numbers that you see on the cards. And after about the 5th or 6th holler, the kids started realizing, yo, somebody make this like this. And I was like, these are salaries to
Mm-hmm.
STEM positions. No particular STEM position, but these positions. I named the list. I had a list of like all of the numbers I pulled for them, and it was like aerodynamics
Mm-hmm.
person. Now this before I even knew what what you call them little things they be flying.
The drones.
Yeah, drone. This before I even knew what a drone was, and it was a variety of things like marine scientists and a whole bunch of different just STEM jobs. And I
Mm-hmm.
read the list down and then I told them, I say, everybody pick one. It was enough for the class. I say, pick one. And everybody wrote down. So when they told me what they wanted and gave me the salary, I gave them the name to
Of the
that
job.
particular position, right? And they was like, oh my God, like all I gotta do is go, because they had to do research and come back.
Mm-hmm.
And they was like, I just gotta go to school 4 years. Like, that's all. Like, yeah. Like some people and I explained that to them. I said, you know what? I have friends with technical degrees, no 4-year, no PhDs, no whatever, in cybersecurity and all kind of
Mm-hmm.
positions, making way more money than I can ever dream of versus people with PhDs and not and and I tried to tell them that it's okay to chase a dream, right? It's okay to get a PhD. I got a PhD because I'm just eager to always learn something different.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with a particular job. It had nothing to do, right? It was just because I'm a seeker. But I was explaining to them, you can get a trade and still be successful if you
Mm-hmm.
apply yourself. And these people are making these same salaries and above with BSs and masters that people with PhDs would make. So having a title is not about you just want to have letters in front of your name. It's
Mm-hmm.
about what you're getting from it. But at the same time, if what you want to do can get you where you need to be without all the stress, shoot for it. And they used to tell me, Dr. Wright, you can't tell them that. I can, because we live in a world where we factioned on having degrees and titles. And I know more people without degrees and titles sustaining better than people with degrees and titles. So don't hinder them to they have to have degrees. Tell them why they need to have the degrees, or tell them why if they want to go technical, why this is why you need to go in a technical position. That mind was blown. Oh my God, I made, in $60,000, $75,000. They were killing. They was like, oh, I can make 40. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I just last week or the week before actually, I was on a research boat that sailed from Seattle to San Diego.
Ooh.
And we took it's a program that I know the lady who one of the ladies who runs it called STEM Seeds. And it's a week long program where they take students out on a research boat. So they live on a boat, eat on the boat, do like hands on programs on the boat, and they learn what it's like to be, on a boat.
Mm.
And so we had some of the technicians come talk to the students. And one guy in particular, he stood out to me. He's like an engineer on the boat, and his thing is he doesn't have a house. He don't live anywhere,
Oh,
and
that's dope.
he because these trips are like I think the longest day is about either 40 45 days that you're on that boat. That's the longest trips, but you can
Oh,
do as
wow.
many as you want. So he actually got his degree in journalism. He was a producer for a news program, and he hated it. Hated it. Always
Hate it.
loved water though. So he somehow started doing like the training to be a technician, be on a boat. He started doing that. Now, he lives on the boat for 40 something days or however long the transit is, gets his backpack, gets off the boat, and live on whatever island or wherever he lands for however long, and then gets back on the boat. So he was
Yeah, that's
like,
dope.
right, he was like, I backpacked through the countries of Africa. I lived at Tahiti for 2 weeks. My girlfriend, she met me in Hawaii, and then we went to the Galapagos. And I was just like,
Passion, bro. You gotta follow your passion, man. Like people don't get that. My grandmother always said something when I was younger that stuck with me. It's a lot of people wake up and they go to work mad and make everybody else mad
mm-hmm,
because they chasing money or they content and complacent. But it's a lot of people that actually go to work too and they be happy because they doing what they love.
mm-hmm,
And no matter how much you you run from it, you gonna still walk into your light and your passion. And people don't understand that. I met this lady, yo, she was like in her 60s, just started working with us. And everybody was like, okay, you worked for the government before. Like, and she was like, oh, I took off to take care of my mom. And she was
mm-hmm,
like, I didn't want to go back full time. She was like, I just wanted something to do. She was like, I'm over the she was like, I'm over, because she's done it for so long. And she was like, I didn't like my job anymore when I went back. So she said, I chose to do something different. She said, I'm getting older and I need some excitement. And I was like, yo, that's the dopest thing ever because you meet people who like older in age and I can't do this, I can't, but you can.
mm-hmm.
Because what's gonna kill you quicker is you going to work being upset.
Yeah.
She gotta go versus doing something to make you happy. And that's dope that he do that because a lot of people don't live in their dream. A lot of people don't live in what they know they worth. You get in
Mm-hmm.
positions and you become content and complacent and you start dealing with the weariness of being content and complacent and that drive you crazy, yo. Like somebody posted a while ago that they can't go to work no more. And I said, y'all, I used to get like that at one of my jobs, and I just woke up one day and said, this ain't it. Can you
Right.
sustain? Yeah.
No,
You
I
gonna be all
mean,
right?
a couple. I think what is it now? 3 or 4 years ago, I had this opportunity with this other program called School of Rock, which is a geology program, and they take like professors and stuff like that, or people who's interested to go learn geology. And so this one was in New Zealand,
Oh,
and I knew one of the ladies who was putting it on, and so she was like, "Hey, you're gonna come to New Zealand for a week and a half, 2 weeks to learn about um, geology, but I'm going to stay 2 additional weeks. Do you want to stay with me and just like be in New Zealand for a month?"
oh, that's
Like,
dope.
hell yes, I want to do that. Please, yes, yes, ma'am. I do want to do that. And so I told my job, and my job was like, "That's too long. You can't take a month off." Blah blah blah. I was like, "Oh, okay, I quit." He was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "So a paid for trip
To
to
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand or work here, which I don't even care for, don't even like.
Bye.
I'm gonna go to New Zealand. Yeah, I'm gone. Goodbye." You know what I mean? And like now I have a son, so I'll be a little bit more mindful before just like up and inducing. But you
I
know what I'm saying?
understand.
Still, you know, even this last trip, I had to spend a week in Seattle in quarantine before even getting on the boat. So I would have been gone 2 weeks. And so I was like, my son, he just turned 1. And I
Oh,
was like, I don't know, this will be the longest. I've been at home with him pretty much this whole time with COVID, working from home. Like, I don't know if I could do 2 weeks. And my partner was like, you have to do 2 weeks. You have to go because he has to see you doing this.
oh my
And
goodness. You sound
know
like
that
my
it's
husband. He was like, nah, whatever you need to do, you need to get it done. He's straight. We got him. He good.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we gotta leap, mama. We gotta leap. Cause if
Yeah.
they
I
don't
mean,
see us, we ain't gonna they ain't gonna know to want to do it.
no, they're not. And you know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, and like, so many, many years ago, before my best friend and I even had kids, we were like this. We got to do what the Caucasians do. And we got to show our kids a variety of positions before they even go to college. We got to take them around our friends, our people. Hey, you
Mhm.
14, now you can be an intern. You go intern with that medical doctor, see if that's what you like. 15, you're going to go do it with a lawyer. 16, whoever. You need to do these internships or whatever and see what job you want before you even go to college. Go to
Mhm.
college, and then the people that I've met, you should get a job straight out of college,
Oh,
and
been
that's what
there,
they
done
do.
that. Been
That's
that, done that. I think I was probably one of the last ones. And it's so crazy because I was the go getter for everybody. Did, right? And I think I was one of the last ones to even get a position. Now, some of that is on my fault because some of the positions offered to me, I was like, because mind you, like I haven't, at that point, I had never been away from my family,
mm-hmm.
right, like that. And then, like I said, I have an immune deficiency. So I was like really in fear factors, a mindset like, oh shoot, if I go all the way to Pennsylvania, Hershey, Pennsylvania by
Mm-hmm.
myself, and at that time I was a wildfire. My mouth. I was like, oh Lord, I can't go to Hershey, Pennsylvania with these people. Like, no. And then when they tell me,
Right.
oh yeah, it's only 2 minorities. Wait, what?
What?
No, no, thank
Am
you.
I one of the two?
One of the two. And I reflect on things like that, like I do sometimes sit and be like, dang, if I would have took the job in Kansas, blah, 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 if I would have went to Hershey, or if I actually would have took the job in DC when I first got out of school, what would have happened? But then in the same mindset, I'm grateful because I
Mm-hmm.
won't call them missed opportunities. I call them learned experiences, right?
Right.
And then in some of the positions that I would have been in, I'm actually grateful I didn't get him. Sometimes God just tap you on your shoulder and say, that ain't right. That ain't
Right.
what you need to do, right? And we don't understand it at that time. But as I've grown into my maturity and established myself as a scientist, it was like, yo, that wasn't right for me, right? Like, girl, you better be grateful you ain't take that, or you seeing other friends in positions and you like, whoo, I dodged the bullet. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have those moments
Oh yes.
where you be like that. So I honestly feel you wholeheartedly, like where you are with we need to show them and do and give them choices. Cause my sister laugh all the time because people had this aspect. My husband's in IT, so they feel like, oh, you're a scientist, you in IT, so your husband in IT, so your son should do. If Raiden he have fascination with cars. If he want to go build cars at the racetrack, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
promote Raiden to build cars at the racetrack. If Raiden want to be an artist, he too, but he like to draw on everything. If he want to be an
Mm-hmm.
artist, I have several cousins that's artists. Come help this boy learn how to draw these themes or whatever y'all call
Right.
them. Right? We have to allow them to be free. And I think we as people in our age ranges feel that way because it was instilled in us. This is what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you either gonna go be an athlete, or you gonna go to the army or service, or you gonna get a job, or you gonna go to school. Like, you only got
Mm-hmm.
no options. Pick one,
Right.
right? And because I feel like I that's why I use the word hostage. Because I feel like when we was growing up, because that's what our parents, some of them didn't get the opportunity to do some of those things, or our great grandparents. So that was just
Right.
the instillment of in us to, that's purpose. That's your
Right.
purpose in life. But I feel like as times change, especially with COVID, because it's not gonna shift no
Right.
time soon, for a plethora of reasons. But I feel like with these COVID babies, I consider my son a COVID baby. He turned 2 in July. Your baby is 1. He's definitely a COVID baby, right? Because
Definitely.
all they know is mama, daddy, house, and maybe the 1 or 2 hours that they do go to daycare, right, with the people they be around. That's all they know. And these babies different. Like my son, full iPad. He said something today, and we was in the truck, and I was like, "What?" He was like, "Boring." He was playing one of his apps, and I was like, "Wait." Like, even when he started saying his ABCs and 1, 2, 3, we didn't sit down with him and like literally like say this, say this.
Yeah.
We'll go through different stuff, and then he just started one day off his app like, "Oh, that's blue. Oh, that's green." And I'm like, "Hold on, because you're scaring me now." Like, what? Let me make sure you really know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I get it, but they gotta be free, yo. I'm not holding my kid hostage because I feel like I want him to be an athlete because I'm gonna be old and I need some money. Like,
No, right, right. No, you definitely want to do that. I mean, like for my master's degree, I it was more of an interdisciplinary where I was studying how our youth are raised, and
mm,
the idea of who is a scientist. And it goes back to before kids go to kindergarten when they're free. You were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to study dinosaurs in space. And that's a kid answer. But by the time they're in third grade, fifth grade,
mhm.
it's beaten out of them, quote unquote, beaten out of them. Like, no, that's not right. You can't do that. You
You
can't
can do
you
it.
can't be here. And you gotta change your terminology, and it's not, no, you can't do it. Now you tell me how you gonna
How?
do that.
That
Yeah.
part.
You tell me how you gonna study dinosaurs in space,
Mhm.
and I'll help you do it. And then you let them still keep that creativity. Because a black person probably could have built Facebook.
Mhm.
They just probably wasn't given that opportunity.
Heck, when I was in the 5th or 6th grade, I remember for one Christmas, Bones was my favorite movie with Denzel Washington.
Yes.
I don't know why, as a kid, that would be my favorite movie. Says a lot, huh? But that was my favorite movie. And I remember people asking me, "What you want to be?" And I was like, a forensic pathologist. I remember my cousin them being like, "A what?" And I was like, "A
Hmm.
forensic pat." And I was like, I used to be so excited. Oh, I want to go to the body farm because I had done research after watching about. So I'm in the 6th grade telling people I'm gonna be a forensic pathologist, and people was like, "No, like I don't even know what that is. Like,
Right.
why are you saying that?" So I can relate to what you're saying with that, because that was honestly something I really had in my mind I was gonna do. And then people's like, "You can't play with dead bodies. Like, why? What?" You in the
Right.
6th grade? Like, who want to do that? I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm gonna just be a
Somebody does
therapist."
it though. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody works at the body farm.
A,
Somebody,
a
you know
lot
what
of
I'm
people.
saying? So if that's what
Hey,
you want to do, that's what you want to do.
yeah, that's true. That we do get hindered. I remember my teacher saying he was like, "A what?" And I was like, "A forensic pathologist." He was like, "You can't play with dead people." And I was like, "It's not okay. Whatever." I just
Look,
left it.
I mean, and unfortunately, it still happens even when you get older. Like I always tell people, like, "What's your ultimate goal with this? What do you want to do?" It's not like you getting paid and all this stuff. Well, I just want people to share what they do in STEM because it's interesting. I get to meet interesting people and I get to learn about jobs I didn't know. And one day if Netflix want to give me a show and I can go around and show you these jobs, then that's what I want to do. And
That's
I
dope.
got and I got people, sex sales, you gotta dress sexy, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And I'm just like, I had one person who wanted to film me doing a science project in a lab in a dress and heels, and I was like, that is an
That's unrealistic.
oxymoron. Yeah, like you can't do that. The whole reason of a lab coat is so you don't wear your nice shit to,
Cause you
a
gonna you gonna
lab.
for real get some hoes in your stuff. But see, and that's a lot of reason though, for real. That's one of the reasons I left Homeland Security, because you have people in places, and no shade to no manager, no boss, whatever. If you feel some type of way, I can't help you. I'm sorry. But it's like you work with people in positions, you have a job that you know what you're supposed to do for your job, right? But then at the same time, you have people with unrealistic mind goals. For example, I'm a geospatial analyst. It might take me 30 minutes or it might take me 3 hours to manipulate one map, depending on what you want from me,
Right.
right? But if you've never done GIS, if you've never touched a map, if you don't even know, and I got to explain to you as a manager what GIS is and what
Hmm.
I'm doing through the processes of me manipulating this map for you in a timely fashion, but also give you correct raw data. You can't have an expectation to tell another manager that I'm going to have a map ready in 20 minutes that literally takes 20 hours. Like we
Hmm.
have people and people. I've been a manager before, right? And I know we need things. I know we have deadlines, but being on both sides of the water, I've had the experience to know everybody gonna sink if this not right. So
Right.
even as a manager, you need to allow people to do what they need to do in a job to make sure that everybody's job is secure. Because if I send this data out and it's wrong and it's going to Congress and being displayed right on Twitter and all
Hmm.
these other places because people are trying to understand these ranges, you can't tell me to do something in 20 minutes and then you mad because it's not done. Ma'am, sir, we all gonna lose our jobs. And you have people that's in higher positions with unrealistic goals for realistic
Hmm.
positions. And that's the problem. That's a big problem. Unrealistic mindsets when you don't have no understanding of what my job title is or what I'm doing for my position.
Right. And there's a lot of people like that. I mean, I'm talking about media. You guys know cameras and editing and all that stuff, but you don't know laboratory work. You don't know what it's like to get dirty in
Dirt.
the lab.
Burn a
So
hole in your clothes.
right. You want me to dress like sexy, and that those clothes ain't gonna last.
And
And
it's
what my
uncomfortable. How many labs? And see, I'm rhetorical. I would hit you with a rhetorical question in a heartbeat. How many labs have you been in, sir, ma'am, where you actually saw people in dresses and
in heels?
no,
Yeah.
you're
How
not
many
even
labs
supposed to
you been
wear
in?
open toes or open
Period.
legs in a
Yeah.
lab or a hospital. Just come on, people. Like some stuff, just common sense.
Common sense is not common. All I could think about when you was talking about creating maps and stuff for Congress are all the internet scientists who would say the map is wrong. That drive that just I'll be like, oh, so what school did you go to? What program did you learn that this is wrong? Oh, that's a
that,
whole
that was internal custom kickback of why. Like I think I explained several times why a certain image was scaled the way it was scaled, or why I couldn't put all of Africa and South America zoomed out into one folder, and then I kept having boxes called drop. What are those little
Drop
drop
boxes.
boxes for? What, they're not drop. Listen, and it's like, if you want me to do my job, let me do my job. And I get it. It's stressful, it's time consuming, but in a lot of STEM positions, we're underlooked
Mm-hmm.
and overworked, to
Mm-hmm.
be able to be effective like we need to be. Everybody is like doing a math equation, right? When you think about STEM is like a math equation. You can have 12 people doing the same STEM job, but they're gonna do it different because they're gonna think about it different. And you still get the same result, but it's how you do it and how you apply it and how you manipulate the situation to find a final answer. And I used to tell people all the time when I worked in STEM, you can tell me to do something 50 times, but I'm still gonna do it the way I want to do it, because that's what I know how to do, to make it comfortable for me to relay it to someone else. And that's why it's so important for me when it comes to source outreach. I'm having the same kickback that you're having too. Like I went to a school yesterday and went to talk to the principal, and the secretary literally stopped, and she was like, "Oh, that's nice and cute," because when we talked on the phone, I guess she presumed I was someone else until she saw me face front. And then she was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, you get those reactions." And it's like a aha moment, because then it's like, okay, so what do I need to do different? But why do I need to alter what I need to do to supply need to people that need it?
Right.
So then you stuck in a stagnated place. So that's why I'm pushing source so hard, because the babies need it. There are
Mm-hmm.
disabled students who should have it. And then we need to know about growing gardens, because it's deserts popping up everywhere. Like
I mean,
food is
I
scarce.
currently live in a food desert. Trust me, I
Ooh.
know.
Oh,
I know.
because you're in California.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. See, like, and how many urban gardens have you seen, like where you live at?
I live in Oakland. I think there is one urban garden that I know of, and it's on the other side of Oakland. I've only been there one time, and I keep trying to tell my partner we need to go. And it's black ran, and they got some chickens, so I think they do free eggs and a couple of free vegetables and stuff. And before COVID, you can go like as a school or whatever, and they would do programs
The
and have
program.
kids learn a little bit. But it's on one side of Oakland, and I don't know. It's not. I will say this. One thing they do have that they're not good at keeping stocked is outdoor refrigerators. And so anybody can
Mm.
walk through and take stuff out of the refrigerator that they need. It's not always stocked though. They're really big on giving away food. Like every day there's somewhere you can get a bag of food, which is cool. I don't hate on it at all, but at the same time you're only teaching them to be resourceful and where to find free stuff,
Where to
not
find free stuff.
how to do it themselves, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
See, and that's why I'm so pro, like, yo, let's get it. We gotta start teaching ourselves. Like, we got to, what I'm saying? I've been, since I was about 5 or 6, before my great grandmother passed. I didn't even understand that I was actually doing farming and gardening and horticulture, right? Because she would grow peppers and tomatoes under the clothesline. So, what I'm
mm,
saying? Like, the small things. And we're not teaching each other how to advocate for ourselves, to wanna learn. You got to wanna learn. You have to, hey, okay, like, we ain't got no tomatoes. They doing food recall on lettuce. Okay, grow your own. How do you do
oh
that?
yeah, I told my partner, I was like, I want to buy a house, don't know where, but I want to buy a house, or actually I want to buy a small farm. I ain't even trying to have a large farm. I ain't trying to
Yep.
have acres on acres, because I ain't doing that. But I could do one good acre, and have some vegetables and stuff growing on here, and I'll do goats. I will raise goats and chickens
Girl, goats is
because
good. Ooh.
Goat meat is so good.
It is. My
People-
advisor, Dr. E Money, my advisor, he used to raise the goats at the school, and he made us some goat meat pies and handed them out and didn't tell nobody. Then it was a little sign said goat meat, girl, them the best goat meat
Whenever Indian food, the only place I know where I can go get some good goat meat,
is
and in
good.
African food places. But
But
I'm
see,
like,
that's
look,
another thing. What you say?
I was gonna say like I would do goats because well the meat is good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't drink goat milk, but whatever. But you can rent goats to clear land. And you can make
Oh.
money off of your goats. You know what I'm saying? And goats are small enough that, they're not as expensive vet bills as cows and horses and all the big hoofed animals. I do a small hoof one, 10 of them here. Oh, you need some land cleared? Here's some goats. Let them chew off the grass and boom.
Ooh. That's a thought right there. That's a vibe. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, okay. Because like with him, with the goats, what people don't know is, which is a problem. We don't think outside the box either
Mm-hmm.
to want to try to do things different. If it's out of
Right.
our comfort zone, oh, I ain't messing with that. Like
Right.
it's not until we see other people, which is nothing wrong with that because you're observing someone who's being successful, right? But at the same time, it's like you have this concept where I can do that, but then we're too scared to do it or try it. Like when people tell me, "Oh, I don't eat this and that," have you ever put it in your mouth? Nope. Well, how you know you don't eat it? Like you know what I'm saying? Like you've never tried it, and we gotta want to be able to do things for us as African Americans or minorities, period, that they doing and been doing it before it become a thing and get monetized where it's too much for us to do. Because
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to start big like I tell people all the time. You can get you 4 pots, you can get you an old toilet, you can get you a tie, you can go buy you a box of what you call them little totes. You can go buy a tote and drill some holes in it. Be creative. I call it African American engineering, whatever. Put you some
Mm-hmm.
holes in the bottom of it, and you got a raised bed right there. At a whole tote.
Yeah.
You know, like you ain't gotta spend a lot. If you don't have it, don't break your back to get it. But find ways to absorb it.
Right.
And small things equal big things. So those 2-3 pots you have, putting some tomatoes in, you can mix certain vegetables. You can put peppers and strawberries in the same like pot, right? For them to grow. And you ain't got to spend $1 billion. You want a garden, reach out to somebody where you at. Co-ops do them all the time. You have these extension centers at these colleges. Reach out to them. They have people like myself that's agriculturists who will go out and teach you how to master gardens. Teach
Mm-hmm.
people. I think we need to really start doing it from coast to coast, like teaching in our own little. Do that in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
You need a fence? Hell, go buy some chicken wire and wrap your little toad up. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
can't nobody get in it, but you and the deers can't leap in there. You know,
See, I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need you to send me something about that
I got
because
you.
I need that. I don't want to hold you forever, girl. It's already been an hour
I know
already.
that's so crazy.
I know, right? See, it goes by. You were saying you were introvert. Look, it has already passed you by that whole hour. That's
I'm a
it.
science junkie. I eat sleep science, but you talk about something else, I'm just probably gonna sit there and just nod my head like
Oh, that's me. My partner likes to talk about TV, and I'll be like,
yep. Like, okay.
all
Yeah, I
right,
read it.
okay, whatever. But all right. So before we go, if anyone wants to learn more about you, what you do, or your program, how can they find you?
So we are in multiple media locations. We have a webpage, www.sourceoutreach.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Source Outreach Program. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram under Aim for One. That is our motto. We aim for one. And other than that, you can email me or ask Miss Cat how to find me, and you can connect with us there.
Awesome. Just give me 1 minute as I close out. But thank you so much for being on the show today. And
Thank
thank you
you.
everyone who joined in. I hope you had as great a time as I did. And if you have any questions, always hit me up. And thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful gobble gobble day tomorrow, however you celebrate it.